Welcome to today's PAWSCAST.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our PAWSCAST. I'm your host, Caleb, and today I have with me
Cheyenne.
And today I'm joined with...
I'm Ashlyn Cave, and I play Frostburg Athletes.
I'm Hannah Bienick, and I'm on the Frostburg softball team.
I'm Del Carden, and I'm on the Frostburg tennis team.
I'm Riley Powell, and I'm on the Frostburg swim team.
I'm Joy Allen, and I'm on the Frostburg volleyball team.
And we're going to start off with Hannah first. Hannah, so as a student athlete that has played your respective sport for years, growing up, how has mental health played a huge role in your life? And if it does, in fact, does it even play a huge role?
I believe that mental health plays a huge role in your life because seeing all these student athletes all of a sudden take their lives, and especially having my own battle with mental health internally, with it starting in high school softball, it's definitely played a big role. We all saw the softball player who ended up passing from JMU, and I played softball with her in high school. She was on my high school softball team. So obviously, going through that, it was a lot to take, and you never want to hear your friend had passed away due to suicide. And especially her being a student athlete, I was like, wow, it kind of flipped the switch. I was like, this is very real. This is a really real topic with student athletes that we need to take more seriously, and I believe that universities and themselves are taking the steps to make that a big deal and make it more serious, but I do believe the NCAA has to do a lot more with taking it seriously so we can stop and prevent that from happening to more student athletes.
For sure.
All right, so the next question is for Ashlyn. Being under the spotlight can be a big thing sometimes for people, especially in sports. So how do you manage being under the spotlight, and how do you keep yourself humble?
So I think with every sport, we're all put under a lot of pressure to win all of our games and things like that, and with our academics as well. I think the best way that we just have to persevere and lean on our teammates to really pick us up when we need that support, and talk to people about what we're going through. I'm having this problem today and things like that.
Awesome, thank you.
Anybody else? What do you guys feel?
I mean, it's definitely hard with anxiety and depression to go to your sports, and a lot of athletes, they don't really want to talk about that because you have this stigma against you that you are an athlete and that you should be able to deal with this sort of by yourself. You have to be mentally strong. And so us going through that, you just try and brush it off, but it just gets worse and worse. And so by actually talking about that with your teammates, your coaches, other resources, it'll really be able to help you so that you can find ways to play your sport the best you can without these.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that too. Especially for me as being a football player, with that football stigma, I guess, or stereotype. Most people think, oh yeah, you're tough it out. You're supposed to be able to. If you can hit a grown man, you should be able to take them small little feelings. But I mean, I've had teammates where they express their mental health, and you would think they're people who are big time players, contributors on our team. And you would think that they got everything in life situated when in reality they don't. And so the problem is it always bottles up. And then by the time you do, somebody notices it that something's going on is wrong, it's too late. And so they've already overflowed. It's too late to seek help for them, to find them the professional help that they need. And so I definitely do agree with what you're saying about that, yeah. Go ahead.
I do believe coaches are taking that step to help the stigma around mental health, because especially our coach, he had expressed that we do have mental health days. Especially last season, I think he realized that we all need a break sometimes. So he expressed that in our meetings with standards and stuff, that he understands that everyone is going through it, and depression and anxiety is a real thing with student athletes. So he has given us these mental health days where we just text them. They don't really need an explanation, and they'll understand why we're missing practice.
Yeah, our coaches started doing that too. It started my freshman year, I think I want to say, because there was a lot of mental health issues before that, before I got here anyway. And then she also well, if you go into her office and you need to talk to her about anything, she like gives us like supports like CAPS and other things like on campus as well.
And I know for our football team, we've only done it once, but this was during camp, like the last week of camp. We had I forgot the last two people from CAPS. I forgot their name, but they came in and they were talking about mental health and stuff, and then they were asking us like a bunch of questions about like I can't remember the questions like specifically, but there was questions regarding mental health, suicide, and stuff, and like how do you feel about it, and what do you do if like those thoughts are coming in, and then they were just offering a helping hand for any of the student athletes that on our football team that are feeling that way. So I definitely do like the mental health days for y'all. I wouldn't say it's there in a football team like as much like the way y'all have it. I don't think we have it that way, but with the whole new coaching staff and changing stuff, I feel like it's definitely increased and it's definitely gotten better for our football team. So yeah, that's all. All right, so our next question is for Joy. When it comes to school, sports, and work life, if you do work, how do you balance the scale? Like, what are ways you think how do you balance the scale, and what are ways that you think could help balance it out, like for others who are needing help with that?
I think being a student athlete, that it does get overwhelming with practices and academics and stuff. So I feel like you have to have a set schedule for yourself, and being an athlete, you already have that set schedule. So like study halls and stuff like that. And if you need like extra time, you can just go to your coach and ask, like, hey, I have an assignment due, and she'll give me my time. So.
Yeah, another thing, like with being a student athlete, you have to have your days planned out before you wake up that day. Like, I'm doing it at this time, this at this time, then I'm going to bed at this time.
Right.
Like, I think it's all about your organization and time scheduling.
Yeah.
I also feel like your coaches are a big resource in that. I know just yesterday, my assistant coach and I, we went over sort of what I want to focus on in practice to try and help my own mental health and what I can do outside of school, so that I can figure out plans to try and create a schedule that I get everything done so I don't stress about what I need to do for school and sports.
Mm-hmm. I think you also have to be able to expect like inconveniences in your schedule and be able to have a backup plan for that.
Yeah, I think it's all about flexibility as well. Being flexible to react to sudden change if it appears. So.
Yeah, I agree, and I think for some of us living off campus now, what's most important is we don't have dining hall passes now, so you gotta like meal prep, so you really have to know your week before it actually starts, and you really have to plan ahead, and so you can eat in between the classes before you go to practice. That's important.
So the next question is actually for you, Riley. How do you cope with everything that's been happening in your life?
So these past 3 years have not been easy. I've had a shoulder surgery and haven't been really able to swim. But I know a big help to me has been like my friends. They really supported me through everything, as well as my parents. We're on our third coach this year for swimming, so we've had quite a few coaches. But our new coach, Matt, he's our head coach, he's helped a lot, and I'm actually taking a bit of a break this semester to focus on myself and my mental health and making sure I can be okay. And having my friends there to go on late night drives and listen to music has been a huge help. Really just focusing on making sure I'm okay physically and mentally.
I know it's hard because sort of like Riley, I had knee surgery this summer going into the school season, and being a returning player, one of the only ones sort of in the singles lineup for the team and in the doubles lineup to return, it was definitely very stressful to try and figure out what I had to do to make sure I could come back for the team, because a lot of times like there is this stigma that we just have to push through pain, and sometimes you can't do that as an athlete. So the anxiety of figuring out what my coach was going to do, how I was going to sort of find that recovery to be able to play my sport was very stressful, but just talking to them is a good way to cope, like getting over that anxiety to finally talk to your coach.
Yeah, and I feel like if you don't want to talk, I journal, and I feel like journaling has definitely helped me get out my thoughts, because there are some things that, I don't feel comfortable talking about.
Yeah.
So I'll just go ahead and write them down so I can at least take that weight off my shoulders.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people don't talk about when you're injured and you're going back to a sport, how terrifying it is to have that surgery. And like for me to get back into the pool and move my shoulder after 2 surgeries has been like absolutely terrifying. It doesn't feel the same. And having my coach being so understanding and being able to talk to has been really nice, because I think he's finally a coach that understands that like it's terrifying and I don't know what to do. And as well, there's a ex-rugby player in the Caps, I don't know, hall, whatever you want to call it, who used to be a student athlete. So that's a good resource that a lot of people have been using and can give some more insight into what's going on.
Okay. Next question is for actually everybody. Of course, we could give it, anybody want to chime in, you can go ahead and say it. What is your message to those student athletes out there that struggle on a daily basis with mental health and specifically suicide? So like you said, you had a friend, right? And so like, even though it was untimely, of course you didn't know it, like that it happened, but do you feel like you got like a better sense of how to combat it in case like spotting signs from like your teammates? Like, do you feel like you've gotten a better sense on how to spot it and then combat it from that? Like,
yeah, for sure. I think no one really knew what she was going through at the time, so it was really hard to tell what she was going through because she was so upbeat and so happy.
right.
And it's always the people that you least expect to unfortunately take their lives, and it's really hard to spot it. But I think definitely, since most of us do live together, seeing them in that aspect instead of at the softball field, where even like any other sports arena and sports team, you always want to check in on everyone. Like, if they won't initiate them going out and getting help, which please, like, if you need help and if you're thinking about that, like those thoughts, like please go out and get help and reach out to people. Then everyone is so helpful and kind, especially around here. The Frostburg Caps office is amazing and they'll help you. But if you don't feel those signs and you don't want to go out and get that help, make sure you're always checking in on your teammates and asking them like how they really are, and if they're stressed out, like try and help them out and talk with them through that.
Alright.
And for men, like I know being on a male sports team, there definitely is sort of that stigma around men athlete that we can't show emotion, we can't sort of talk about those issues, and so it's definitely a lot harder when you sort of see like male athletes because we don't want to show those signs. And I know, like, especially this past year, there's been a lot of student athletes who have committed suicide, and some of them being men. We have to really sort of, like, try and break down that stereotype that men always have to be strong, that we always can't feel those sort of emotions. But, like, we need to start talking about that so we can sort of try and eliminate this sort of stereotype around male athletes.
As well as, I know you guys talking about your mental days, but like if there's mental days that you have, like you know that even the mental days are on schedule, like you know that, oh, we have practice today, but I know I'm not gonna make it if I go to this practice, I know I'm not gonna it's gonna do more damage than good for me. Communicating and telling your coach, like I have to take this day off. Like I know we're practicing and all, I know we're doing this, doing that, but physically, like, and mentally, I can't be there, I won't be there. So being sure to take your own mental days, not waiting for, your own coach or another person to tell you got to take this day. I think that's important as well. Just knowing, like, being self-aware of yourself, that, like, you know your limits, like your body, your own limits, I can't do this. I think that's another thing that athletes should take note of and definitely capitalize on, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I know with our mental health days, I don't know about you guys, but we can text our coach I think it's at least 12 hours in advance. They're like, hey, I'm not coming to practice, and she doesn't ask questions again. And it's like you get the whole day off, no practice, no lift, no film, nothing, and you can just kind of do whatever you want with that day, and it's like a reset. And she says, I'd rather you skip practice and not be anything and come back the next day fully prepared to take on the day than come to practice and
do terrible, and then the next day it's gonna like keep like spiraling.
Yeah.
It's not selfish to take that day for yourself for mental health. And I know a lot of athletes will probably think, oh, well, if I don't come to this day of practice, my coach won't put me into the game.
Right.
But we have to know that it's more important for you to be here and be healthy and want to like better yourself than to just think about what your coach or teammates are going to say that you had to take a day for yourself.
Yeah.
I think it's important to note that you don't need to ask, like you don't need to take a day when you're feeling something's wrong. Like even if you have a sense, or like maybe you're just really tired because you've had a busy week and you just need a break. Like you don't have to have something wrong to need to take that break. And especially with like other student athletes on campus, we all see each other walking through courts. So like just say hi to someone, because you never know, maybe that hi to someone is what's making them through the day. So like don't be afraid to just check up on someone even if something may never be wrong.
I also think that like it gets to the point where you gotta start asking yourself if you're doing the sport that you're doing for yourself now, and if it's bettering yourself. If you have to keep taking these mental health days, like is the sport helping you, or is it at this point hurting you? And sometimes people think taking a step back and reevaluating that and maybe stopping from playing that sport, like the whole world will end. Let me tell you, it won't.
Mm-hmm.
You just gotta do what's best for yourself, and if it's taking a step back from your sport at that time, then if that's what you need to do, it's okay to do that. Like, it's not the end of the world.
No, I definitely agree with that because I stopped playing softball between my senior year coming into college. And I think like the biggest thing was COVID, like having that break junior year where I didn't play, I was like, I could be okay not playing. And of course I come into college and like watching the games because I also managed the team. Like some days it's hard for me to like sit there and be like, okay, well I could have been on the field doing this, like I could have been playing. But then there's other days like when I'm having a busy week, I'm like, I don't know how I would have fit practice into this or a lift or needing to watch film. So like,
Yeah.
I definitely agree with you. Like taking the breaks and seeing it from the outside is definitely important as well.
And so I actually have a study from the Washington Post that I was reading about. Actually it'll tie into your next question for you, Del. But according to the Post, as of 2022, there is no like specific chart that compares the young people and student athletes as a whole with like the suicide rates. And so the suicide rate though is in fact, the rate appears to be lower than that of the general and collegiate population of similar age, but the NCAA states that male athletes have a significantly higher rate of suicide compared with female athletes, and football athletes appear to be at the greatest risk, as well as African American athletes. And so I think all that comes with the availability of resources. So how do you feel for those in need of help? Do you think time has progressed do you think society has progressed in combating the negative aspects of mental health, like suicide, depression, or do you think we've made leaps forward?
I think we definitely have made leaps forward, especially with sort of just talking about mental health. Like, I know for my parents, when I've dealt with mental health, they've sort of brushed it off and try and sort of tell you like, oh, just push through it, like, it's really not that big of a deal. But like, now thinking about it and talking with other athletes my age or with sort of other people, we can really start to express ourselves and find those ways to get help. And definitely because I work with the Hidden Opponent, who is a mental health and sort of Instagram, and they always try and break the stigma of athletes talking about mental health so that we can really begin to express ourselves so we don't see as many student athlete suicides. And some of these athletes who do commit suicide, their families will start organizations as well to talk about it. Mm-hmm. So trying to see all of these come together so that we can really help student athletes to be the best they can be. Like, I really feel like it's a big step forward for us.
Yeah, definitely do agree. Like I said, the Caps. I mean, I can't speak for other schools, but I know for sure Frostburg does a phenomenal job at combating mental health, the negative aspects of it, because of course there's good aspects of mental health, but in terms of the bad things, like the suicide and depression, anxiety. I think Frostburg definitely does its part in making sure we as a student athlete body are up to par mentally, physically. And so that's all I have for you guys today. Thank you for joining. Any closing remarks you guys want to say?
I guess another thing, like the SAC committee this year, we're all three on it, for mental health. Like, we're really trying to make that connection between CAPS and then mental health. So like multiple of our teams, I know right now we're just doing fall sports, but we're having like CAPS come meet with our teams like one-on-one so they can like talk about mental health. They're gonna give a presentation and then they do a round table thing where like teams can like talk about it with each other so like they know it's a safe space on their team.
All right. Like I said, I'm your host Caleb.
And I'm your co-host Cheyenne.
Thank you for tuning in. Be sure to tune into the next entry of podcast, and y'all have a wonderful day and a wonderful month. See y'all.
Thank you for being a part of our PAWSCAST. This health and wellness podcast is brought to you by the Prevention Center and Peer Education Network at Frostburg State University. If you would like more information about our programs, visit us in Pullen Hall 109 or call us at 301-687-4761. Or you could also send us an email at safeoffice@frostburg.edu.